Like you guys, did I tell you guys about this bare knuckle thing I got going on right now?
No.
A little bit.
A little bit. Like so. Oh, well, the guy I was working with yesterday, Tay.
Oh, that we're training with.
Has a bare knuckle fight coming up in Costa Mesa at the end of the month, and this shit's pretty wild.
Newest member of the 209 Kliq.
Yeah, no, we're expanding shit. All these motherfuckers that think this is just a fucking game and we're some kind of fucking jokes are gonna find out the joke's on them. Yeah, Tay has got a big fight coming up. I'm trying to find the flyer.
Just posted it.
I know I just posted it. It's but like so it's a bare knuckle. He's a really damn good boxer, but bare knuckle is like it's a little bit different, you know, than boxing. Like it's so I've been working with him on the wrestling aspects of bare knuckle and how to counter, you know, some of that stuff. But
the last guy you helped,
you know, yeah, we don't want to talk about that guy. I think this I hope that this works out a lot better. I know this is gonna work a lot better for Tay than the NYBA. I hope. I can't even believe I even brought that up. But thanks. I really want to talk about that.
What?
I really want to talk about that right now.
It's hard being a friend. That's all I'm gonna say.
Man, you know, just don't kill anybody. Please, I would love to get. So listen, this is my honest.
Do you know how to get people from Mexico?
I would love to get Phil. I'd love to get Phil on the show. My personal feeling is there's a lot more to that than what I think people know about. I think it's entirely possible that Phil didn't do this. I don't want to get into why at the moment, but I can at some given point in time on this show. But you know, Phil. Everyone knows Phil, and Phil could be, you know, Phil could be his own biggest enemy at times. And I might get into it later on what I know and what I think, but you know, right now
you have to buy the book.
Freeman,
maybe the book will come
you know
out.
what my jacket is?
I could.
Freeman.
I could write a book.
Yeah. For the fucking 3 years,
Phil
you have to fill.
but you know,
Jesus.
But you know, I'll say this: like everyone says, well, you know, he admitted this. We don't know what he did. This happened in Mexico. Like, does anybody in their right mind think that the police department in Mexico is not crooked and that what they say is like a police report you can trust? Does anybody think that? Like, it's 100% legit?
People hate cops in America. Can you imagine the cops in Mexico? You know what I'm saying? I'm just saying.
I mean, so man, I don't know. I'm not sure what happened there. I wasn't there, but I do have probably more of an insight than most people. I might get into it one day. I think like I said, I think there is there's definitely a possibility that
you know, mobster's son in the cartel's area. Gee, I wonder why bad shit happened to him.
That you know that he didn't do it. But let's switch gears. Thanks for bringing that up, by the way. The show comes to a screeching halt. But you know, my main man, I like to call Tay. He's going to be facing Desmond Green for BYB, the Trigon Combat coming up at Costa Mesa, April 27th. Green is a tough motherfucker. You know, Green has had some big fights. He beat Josh Emmett.
That's pretty.
He's beaten some pretty big names. He's been around for a long time. Like Phil Baroni, he made a few mistakes and he ended up in a place. Didn't kill anybody, but he had a little break in his career. Ended up in he ended up in he ended up taking a vacation from fighting and staying in a hotel for a while with bars around him. And so he's back in the bare knuckle game. I've watched a lot of film on him. He's definitely tough. I think Tay has got 209 motherfucking hands, bro. I have a lot of faith in this kid that you know, he's gonna keep this motherfucker at the end of his punches. And
but how much does he bench?
Yeah, I don't know. It doesn't fucking matter. Only a fucking idiot who paints his face and calls himself a fucking demigod would think when in a fight your bench matters. It doesn't. But I think you know, Tay's got a good chance at winning this fight, and it's a big fight for him. He wins this fight, and I think a lot of doors are gonna open up for him, and I'm just honored, and I'm honored that he came to me for help on this, and we were working with him yesterday when the other guys were training with Michael Hayashi in the pro wrestling, me and Tay, and actually I had Michael Sean working him too, and we were working with, you know, in the tie ups, because in bare knuckle you could grab with one hand and tie somebody up, so the wrestling, you know, becomes important. But you know, I really I think Tay's got a good chance of this good kid from the 209. If you ever want to support somebody that's fighting from a city, that's tough to come out of, this would be the guy.
Seems very humble, very nice kid.
Very, very hard worker. His punches, he's got better punches, than Green. Is straight. His punches are better. But this is a bare knuckle fight. It's not boxing, so
anything can happen.
Anything can happen. But I'm going into this with my boy Tay, and I think he's going to come out with the W. But so CJ, you wrestled all over the fucking place recently. I mean, Switzerland over here is getting booked left and right. All these doors are open for Switzerland. But what's it been like lately, man? You've been going solo without the Kliq. You kind of been on your own a tiny bit. What's life been like in the wrestling world?
You getting too big for us, CJ? Trying to branch out on your own?
It's just been a whirlwind, I got people telling me that I need to go face Michael Sean for the TWF title, but I said, nah, man, we're a Kliq. We stay solid. Ref Ray, he's the most crooked ref.
Ref. Talk about a mark. Yeah. Talk about a guy that takes reffing a little bit too serious. Referee Ray.
Count to 3, bro.
Count to 3 and shut the fuck up before you get hurt, old man. Stay out. Stop trying to come up with some dumb shit. I discovered this kid. I found him training with Andrew Arch, and I told him, hey, man, this guy's full of shit. Let me take you to a real trainer and get you going for real.
Now look at him. He's booked.
Now look at him. He's all over the place. He's the only guy that's not a piece of shit in the 209 Kliq. He's the only guy that's got any talent.
I'm the kidney stone of the 209 Kliq. I just pass right through.
CJ takes all the bumps.
That is true.
In a lot of different ways. I just I just got
CJ getting book places. Can we go back to that?
I don't give a fuck about that because Mike Modest just responded.
Oh.
So can we send Mike? Can we gonna send Mike a link? Let's send Mike a link. You guys still CJ can talk a little bit. Go to Switzerland.
What are you doing this weekend?
What are you doing next?
Well, I'm wrestling for APW Nevada out there in Sparks.
Hey, that's where I broke in. How weird.
Show starts at 3:30. It's at the Excel Christian Center. I think it's on Bering Boulevard. Is that correct?
It is on Bering.
So former Reno resident.
I'm a 775 boy.
Expatriate of the Reno area.
But I claim the 209 now because my friends.
So you can catch me there. I'll be teaming with Dave Wasted.
Dave Wasted, man. If there's ever a guy whose arm I could have broken a match, it was Dave Wasted, but I didn't do it. I let it go. I just wanted to let him know. I'll say this again when I talk to him that's training out in this area. In Northern California, Bay Area, Hayward, San Francisco, wherever, Oakland, you either got influenced directly by Modest or you're getting influenced right now and don't even realize it because he taught the people that are teaching you.
The 3 of us were trained by Vinny, who was trained by Modest. You know what I mean?
End of story. So we're going to take a quick break and we'll be back with Mike Modest. There we go. Man, Mike Modest, the godfather of indie wrestling in Northern California. Can you hear us?
You guys, man.
It's an honor.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, you broke up a little bit. There you go. There we go. There you are. We got you now. So my name's Matt. This is CJ. This is Michael Sean. We've all been trained a little bit indirectly under you. We trained under Vinny Massaro. So it's an honor to have you on right now, man.
Right on, man. Good to be here, guys. Appreciate it.
Yeah, so you just got inducted into like a little into a Hall of Fame recently.
The GCW Hall.
GCW Hall. I shouldn't say little. The GCW Hall of Fame. What was that like?
Man, it was a lot of fun. They called me and wanted me there for the weekend, but I recently got custody of my daughter. And I've got shared custody, and I have her on the weekends. So I kind of just stopped. It's hard for anybody to, pay me well enough, to where I'm going to miss a weekend with my daughter. And, but I really wanted to do this. There was a lot of people that I knew that were going to be there. And so I really did want to, participate. And, lucky for me, GCW cared enough about me and the history that I have in this industry that they flew me out Sunday morning And so I still got to be a part of the Hall of Fame thing, and you know, I was really grateful. I got to see a lot of people that I haven't seen in a long time. Chris Daniels, Willie Mack, cheerleader Miss Melissa, even sat at the bar and had a beer with Rob Van Dam and Matt
Nice.
Hardy. Yeah, so it was really cool to see everybody and just to be a part of it. I felt really honored. I felt honored that someone would even consider flying me down specifically for that. You know, just for a Hall of Fame thing. What's that?
You're Mike fucking modest. What do you mean?
Well, I guess it's the modesty of me that I don't know. I just
Great comeback.
I was just really surprised, and it felt really good to know that, you know, someone's paying attention out there. You know, it's the little things that make my day. I had did a podcast not too long ago for some guys in Australia, and where they live, it's this like little tiny town. There's not a whole lot of people. They're like at the outskirts of Australia. You know, they're not in the coolest part of Australia, I guess. And these guys had me on their podcast and stuff. And one of the last things they said was, "Well, man, we just want you to know that all the way out here and wherever it was, Australia, that you've reached us, you know, and we know who you are, and we appreciate you, you know." And it's those are the little things that guys like me appreciate now. You know, it's a big thing when someone just recognizes that you contributed, you know.
I mean, listen, as an indie worker out here, I work with TWF and a lot of other companies as well. I appreciate the fuck out of you because I realize, you know, the role that you played in teaching. One thing about me in this podcast, I really am interested in the history of Northern California wrestling. You know, what was it like when you first started in this way back in the day?
Oh man, so when I started, first of all, there weren't guys my size. I was the smallest of everybody in all of, you know, my wrestling class, and I started with Jerry Monty. Um, I told this story actually at the Hall of Fame. Um, a lot of times, just like with wrestling matches, when I go to a show, I like to watch all the other matches so that I see what everyone else is doing, and then I'll do what no one else has done that for that show. I'll you know, if everybody's working the arm, well, gosh, I better work something else. You know, if I'm the fourth match or fifth match, I'm going to do something else because everyone else has been working the arm. So it was the same thing with the Hall of Fame. I was listening to kind of how everyone was doing their speech and the things that they thought were important to talk about, and mostly everyone was talking about their history in the industry. And you know, they would kind of talk about, okay, well, this is where I started and this is where I went, and you know, these are the people that helped me get to where I am today. And they would kind of give like a linear timeline of their career. And so I was kind of listening to this, and then I thought, okay, well, when I go up there and do my speech, I'm going to do something totally different, so everyone's not bored hearing the same kind of thing, you know, over and over. And so when I went up there were some flowers that looked like they were from a funeral arrangement. And so the first thing I did is I was like, hey, let's give a round to the guy that died, and his family sent us these lovely flowers, you know, for this event. That was very nice of them, you know, in a time of pain like this. And so I said, let's give the guy that died a round of applause. And you know, everybody laughed about that. And then I just kind of told a couple of stories that happened to me, and I wanted to show two opposite ends of the spectrum. So I talked about my first match. You know, my first match with Jerry Monty was against a guy named the Samoan Bulldog. And I couldn't wait for the Samoan Bulldog to get there. I was so excited. I couldn't, you know, this was before computers, so I couldn't go online and like
Right.
find out any information. I couldn't see anything about him. But what I
Yes.
did have was an 8x10 photo. and he looked massive. You know, he was like 280 pounds. He had 2 mohawks, like a mohawk running down each side of his head. And I was really excited. I was like, man, I don't really look like a pro wrestler because I was only 180 pounds, but I was like, man, this guy is a pro wrestler. And so I was super excited to wrestle him. And he showed up at the building, and I rushed up to him and I said, hey, are you ready to talk? Talk over the match. And he gave me this kind of weird look, and he goes, yeah, brother, let me put my tape on and then we'll talk. Okay, brother? I was like, yeah. So I waited for him to tape up, and he calls me over. He says, so you got some ideas? And I said, oh man, I got.
Wait, ready? You killed Mike.
Are you guys still there?
There we go. Yeah, we lost you for 1 second. There you go. You're back. You're back.
Okay, so we're back now.
Yeah.
All right. So he says to me, he goes, okay, brother, yeah, we're gonna do all that. And I said, all of what? And he goes, everything you said, boss. I should have known when he said boss. I should have known that there was something was afoot, but he said, yeah, we're gonna do what you say, boss, and all your ideas are good. So I walked away, kind of doing the Barry Horowitz, back a little bit, going like, oh man, he didn't just like one of my ideas, like all my ideas. Like,
oh my God,
this is awesome. So I get in the ring, and on the way to the ring, I'm yelling at people. I was the heel, he was the good guy, and the face, and I'm yelling at people. I get in the ring, we go to lock up, and on the tie-up, he just punches me straight in the face.
Oh my God. Fuck.
We go to lock up, and boom, he punches me in my nose. And it knocked me so loopy. It was such a hard blow. And I was kind of out, little knocked out. And I rolled out of the ring, and that bzzz kind of thing was going on in my head because I was
know it too well.
Just about knocked out. Yeah. And the funniest thing was, the first thought that popped into my head was, why did I call that? Did I call punch me in the nose at the beginning of the match? Why would I say that?
Boss, you called it.
Yeah, what a stupid spot to call, That's kind of where my head was at, because I was so loopy. And I look up at him, he says, I'm a fucking brother.
Oh my God.
And then I started running. Yeah, I started running from the guy. He come out of the ring and chased me. I slide in the ring, and blood's on my face, and he slides in, and I think, okay, I'm going to give him a little kick, and it's going to be real light, because I want him to know, dude, this is a work. I know this. I am in the business, bro. I've been training. This is my first match, but I've been training. I know what the gig is, I give him a nice light kick. He no-sells it, gets up and punches me in the face, and he picked me up. He slammed me like on my shoulder. And then at a point, he clotheslined me in my face. And then I woke up in the locker room. A bunch of guys had to come get me and drag me from the ring to the locker room. And I woke up in the locker room, and my first thought was, oh my God, I got to get the fuck out of here before this guy continues the ass whooping. Like whatever I did.
Would you make $2?
I'm sure he's gonna come. I'm sure he's gonna come beat me up some more, And so I grabbed my shit as soon as I could, and I fucking left, And I didn't go back for like 2 weeks. And when I showed back up at training, Jerry Monty was like, "Oh, all right, good for you to come back." He was impressed that I came back, and I said, "So, Jerry, can we talk?" And he's like, "Yeah, what's up?" And I said, "What happened? Why did that guy beat me up? I don't know what I did, And Jerry said, "Well, the next time it's your first match, and a veteran asks you if you have any ideas, the correct answer is no." That's the correct answer. And you didn't give the correct answer. You had lots of ideas, apparently. And he goes, you should have just deferred to him and just said, hey man, I'm here for you, and whatever you want to do. And I was like, okay, well, Jerry, you probably could have just told me that to begin with.
God damn, right?
I am one of those people. I will learn the easy way if you present.
You didn't get an option.
Yeah, just give me that option, and I promise you, I'm going to take the easy way. And then the other story I told was about Buddy Rose, and I wrestled Buddy Rose, and it was probably my third match, my second match. It was, and I was really excited to be in the ring with Buddy Rose, and Buddy Rose, of course, I had no ideas for our match. When Buddy asked me, if there was anything I wanted to do, I said no, whatever you want to do. So I got that part right. And then Buddy asked me, he goes, well, because he talked a little like the comedian Louis Anderson, and Buddy goes, well, so did you bring me a gimmick? And I'm like, gimmick? And he goes, oh, fuck. Yeah, you were supposed to bring the gimmick. And I go, gimmick? What gimmick? I didn't even know what fucking gimmick meant at the time, I go, gimmick? What gimmick? And he says, well, you were supposed to bring something for me to hit you with. I'm supposed to beat you, but I'm supposed to hit you with something and beat you, and you were supposed to bring it. So I'm like, okay, buddy, don't worry, I'll find something. So I start looking around this school. It was a high school show. Actually, no, it was a fairgrounds show. I start looking around the fairgrounds. It was Lakeport. I start looking around the place for anything, and I find this big bolt. It's like, I don't know, 1.5 inches long. And, and I pick that up, and I'm like, I bring it over to him. And I go, hey, buddy, what about this? And he goes, oh my God, I could hurt you with that. No. Mike, no, you need a gimmick. That's fucking a deadly weapon. Like, you need to find something else. So I'm like, fuck, okay. So I go and I find this small piece of chain. It's just enough chain to wrap around your fist. And I brought that to him, and I was like, what about this, buddy? And he goes, oh, Mike, that's a chain. Mike, I could really hurt you with something like that. You got to find something different. That's dangerous. So I'm feeling like shit. I don't know what to do now. So I walk up to him, and I'm defeated, and I say, well, buddy, I don't know what to do. I'm sorry, I forgot the gimmick. I didn't know I was supposed to bring a gimmick, and I'm sorry. And Buddy goes, well, I don't know. We'll figure something out. And he says, tell you what, find me a piece of paper. He goes, can you find me like a piece of binder paper? And I was like, yeah, I can find you a piece of paper. So I'm thinking he's going to write some notes to me or some shit. So I find him a piece of binder paper. He rolls it up, and then he folds it in half, and he makes it like a piece about this long, and he looks at it. He puts it in his trunks, and he goes, wow, Mike, you found me the perfect gimmick. He goes, this is going to work perfectly. He goes, it's white, so everyone in the crowd is going to see it. And he goes, it's paper, so I can hide it in my trunks without bumping on it or hurting myself. And he goes, secondly, I can hit you with a piece of paper all day long, Mike, and it's not going to hurt you. He goes, this is the kind of gimmick I need right here.
Wow.
And I was like, okay. And so the whole match, that's what he did. He was hitting me with this piece of paper in the head and, everything. And people were really into it. He'd pull it out real slow, and they'd see that it was this white thing that they couldn't really tell what it was. And so that's what Buddy hit me with. And it was interesting wrestling Buddy Rose, because there was a point where I was on my belly, and I knew he was stomping me because I could hear his left foot kind of banging the mat, but I couldn't tell where he was kicking me because his boots were so light that I couldn't tell if he was kicking me in my back, my head, my leg. I couldn't tell. So I just started selling everything. I was like doing a whole body sell. Like, yeah, every time he kicked me, I just fucking flop around like a fish. I didn't know what to fucking sell. And one of the other funny things about that match was Buddy told me in the locker room, he goes, now listen, Mike, I'm going to punch you right in the fucking nose. All right. I'm gonna fucking punch you, and I'm gonna throw this punch so fucking fast, and it's gonna hit your nose. But I promise you, you won't feel anything. But it's important you don't fucking move. If you move, I'm gonna break your fucking nose. He goes, but if you stay still, you're just gonna barely feel it. And so we go out there and we're getting ready to do this spot. And he picks me up in the corner and he's telling me, he's like, all right, Mike, now I'm going to punch you in the nose. And he's like, but don't close your eyes because it's a beautiful fucking thing. He goes, you got to see this. It's a beautiful thing. He goes, don't close your eyes. So
that's kind of hard.
Corner, he sets me up and he pulls his fist back. And I tried to keep my eyes open. In fact, I did one of these where I was like really exaggerating the open eye because I really wanted to keep him open because I didn't want to piss him off. He told me to keep my eyes open. So I was trying to do everything the veteran wanted me to do.
The easy way.
Yes, I'm going to learn the easy way this time. And Buddy did, man. He threw that punch and it was coming in like a freight train. And the sensation on my nose was this. It was just like a finger touching the end of my nose. And I grabbed my face and sold it like $1 million. And Buddy Rose was a pleasure to wrestle. It was the first time I saw how easy it really could be. And it was a huge, the spectrum of the two guys that I worked was just opposite ends. You know, one guy beat the shit out of me and was stiff with everything he did. Nothing he did was safe. Nothing the Samoan Bulldog did was to protect me or to be kind or anything, you know. And yet Buddy Rose, who was a much bigger star than the Bulldog, you know, this was a guy I was watching in AWA and I saw him in WWE, you know, and WWF at the time. And
209 pounds.
Yeah, dude. Yeah. And he took such good care of me. What did they say? They said he was a slim, trim 217.
Yeah, it was 217, right?
But it was
so diet.
Yeah, but it was actually
so funny.
yeah, but he was actually 317. You know, but yeah,
that would get me going.
Blow away diet. That was awesome.
What a great story, though. Like, you know, first of all, the beauty of the punch, like, you know, of a work punch, but also some people would say that, you know, you're new in the business, you should take a beat down or you make a mistake. What's your take on that? If the guy's a rookie, kind of gets out of line, do you think you should smash his nose or rough him up a little bit? Like, what's your take on that, a situation like that?
So honestly, I think if you just take advantage of a young guy that's just getting into the business, I think you're a fucking bully. That's honestly the way I feel. If there's some young guy and he gets in the ring with you and he makes a mistake or he does the wrong thing and you beat the shit out of him, that you're a fucking bully. You're a piece of shit punk. And I think the guy that beat the shit out of me my first match, he taught me a lot. Like I'll be honest with you, it taught me a fucking lot. And I was much more respectful when I would sit down and bargain with a grown ass man about who's going to kick whose ass at what point.
And
that's one of the things people don't understand about our business. When you sit down with your opponent, that's exactly what you're doing. Like the promoter will give you the finish, and sometimes the promoter will tell you, I want the match to go 80-20, or I want the match to go 50-50, or whatever. He'll kind of tell you like how he wants the match to kind of play out, and he'll give you the finish. And you know, but to just beat the shit out of somebody for no reason at all, you know, that's really there to try to entertain and to be a part of your industry, that's just holy shit, man. And I have potatoed people in the ring. I have given receipts before in the ring, and I think that's okay. If a youngster, for example, this happened to me in a battle royal. It was the guy's first match. He was in a battle royal. I was working on a guy in the corner. He taps me on my shoulder. I turn around and he punched me in my nose. And
the nose.
Yeah, my fucking nose again, right? And when he did it, he gave me this look like, oh no, he knew he fucking potatoed me, and he was like, oh shit, I'm fucked. So he said, I'm sorry, Mike, I'm sorry. And I said, I know you're sorry. And I took him in the corner and I gave him a nice receipt. He got a stiff one for the one he gave me, but I didn't beat the shit out of him. I didn't sit there and brutalize him. I didn't continue the onslaught of it, but I just gave him a receipt. So he knew, hey man, take care of me. I'm gonna take care of you. I give it the way I take, the way I give it the way I receive it, and so, I mean, I think that's the way it should be. I understand that when I got into the business, it was a closed industry. Dave Meltzer was still receiving death threats when I got in,
Wow.
when I got into the industry. Yeah. And the Wrestling Observer was primarily only in the hands of the workers because I had to write to him, send a letter to him, send money in a fucking envelope. It was all snail mail, and you had to send it to him, and then he would send you the Observer, monthly to your house. It wasn't like you got it on the computer.
How
You weren't
crazy
getting
is that?
yeah, I mean, it felt like you were getting some real insider shit because not everyone was privy to it. It was mostly people that were in the business that were able to even get a hold of the Wrestling Observer,
So vastly
So
different.
I understand that the time where I got in, it was a whole different thing, I got shot on by another guy at Woody Farmer's place because where I trained Jerry Montes, Jerry and Woody shared the building. So like, for example, Monday through Wednesday was Jerry's, and then Wednesday through Sunday was Woody's, school. And it wasn't exactly like that. It was split up more differently, but that was kind of the concept. It was two schools running out of the same place. And that made for a really kind of chaotic situation because Jerry was always trying to steal Woody's students, and Woody was kind of always trying to take Jerry's students, because it was two separate schools. And so Woody had, hit me up about wrestling on a show for him. And so I called Jerry and I was like, hey, Jerry, Woody wants me to work this show. Is that okay? Jerry said, yeah, that's all right. And he goes, but watch yourself, be careful, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, all right. So I go to Woody's place and they had a mask for me. And it was a horrible mask, by the way. It was, it was like canvas. And so anything you did, it rubbed you raw, the mask. It was just a fucking horrible mask, the worst mask I've ever worn. And tight as hell. And I was wrestling this guy named Tony Toa Samoa. And I'm in the locker room and Tony's getting ready. And Tony says, kind of to the other vets in the locker room, and this is a locker room I'm not familiar with. I don't really know any of these guys. I'm from the opposing wrestling school. And Tony Toa says, oh my God. Oh, I feel so stiff tonight, brother.
Oh man, fuck.
And all the guys start laughing in the locker room. And my heart starts racing. I'm like, oh fuck, here we go again.
Here goes the nose.
Yeah, I wrestled the Samoan Bulldog and he beat my ass. And now I'm wrestling another Samoan, Tony Toa, and he's gonna fuck me up too. I hear this, right? And he just keeps repeating how stiff he feels and oh my God, I feel so
of all
stiff
people that
tonight.
would kick your ass, it would have to be a Samoan too. Like it probably
Right.
makes it that much scarier. Like,
dude, yeah, it's like, bro, please, I'm a little kid here. I'm 180 pounds. You're fucking 260, 270.
Jesus Christ.
Tony Toa was a big guy, and a grown ass man. And that was the other thing. It's like, God, I'm getting my ass kicked, and it's not even by 18-year-olds.
Probably making like $5
kicked by
that.
yeah. It's like these guys are 35, 40 fucking years old, and they're beating the crap out of me, man. They've got old man strength, and so as Tony kept talking, I started getting really fucking angry and I started getting really pissed off. And I started thinking to myself, man, this business is a fucking work. And I know what the fuck I'm doing. And I'm pretty good at it for a guy that hasn't been doing it long. And it just is fucked up. And I'm not going to just get my ass kicked again. This time I'm going to hit somebody. I'm at least going to get a hit in, because with the Samoan Bulldog, I didn't throw one punch. I never potatoed him. He never got a receipt from me. He just beat my fucking ass and left me bloody, you know? And so I thought to myself, Tony Toa will do the same thing. He's going to beat my ass. And when he beats my ass, I'm going to be too fucked up to hit him, you know? So I'm going to hit him first. That's what I decided.
I love it.
I decided I'm going to fucking potato him. I'm going to stiff him instead. And I'm going to be the first one to get a blow. And then if he wants to beat my ass, cool. At least I got a shot in, you know? So we locked up. We go into the ropes and we're kind of rolling around the ropes. And the referee's calling for a clean break. And as I'm breaking, I'm pulling back. I just slammed my fucking head right into Tony's nose.
Nice.
I headbutted him right into the fucking nose. And he fucking, when I hit him, he went, "Oh, you motherfucker!" And I knew I got him good, and I was like, here it comes. He's gonna fuck me up now, you know. And we start circling again, and I said, sorry for the stiff shot, because I wanted him to know I heard you in the locker room saying you were so fucking stiff tonight. You're so stiff and achy. You know, I heard it all, motherfucker, and I knew what it meant. And now I fucking stiffed you instead. So now fuck me up. You know, now you got a bloody nose, motherfucker. And an interesting thing happened. Tony took care of me the whole match.
No, brother, it's work, brother. Take it easy.
He didn't fucking punch me no more. He didn't do nothing mean to me. The only thing he did was on the Samoan drop. He picked me up for the Samoan drop, and instead of dropping me in the sweet spot in the center, he purposely took me over to the side of the ring and Samoan dropped me into the side of the ring to where my arm kind of hit the ropes. I had to extend a little bit, and it hurt. It was stiff, you know, because it was on the side of the ring. And then he kind of pulled me out a little bit and covered me and pinned me. And we got in the locker room, and he goes, "Oh, brother, sorry about the stiff Samoan drop," you know. And I was like, "Oh no, man, it was fine." I was like, "That was good, you know. I'm sorry I headbutted you." And he was like, "Oh, don't worry about it, brother. It's no big deal." And everything was cool. And that's when I was like, okay, so I need to start being stiff. I need to let people know right off the bat, when I'm in the ring with them, I know what the fuck I'm doing. And if you want to fucking roll with me, I'll roll with you. You want to shoot with me, I will fucking shoot with you. You want to hurt me, I will hurt you back. And if you want to work, man, let's just work. You know, because that's what I'm here to do. That's what I always loved about professional wrestling. I always loved the idea that we're presenting this this thing where we're killing each other. We're trying to kill each other and end each other's careers with, you know, Ghostbusters and, you know, Gory Busters and pile drivers and shit. But the actuality is, I'm taking care of your mother's child. One of the worst things is to hurt somebody in the ring and then have to face their mom afterwards.
Wow.
That happened to me one time.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah. You hurt somebody and then you have to talk to their mom afterwards. It's a humbling thing, you know. I'm sorry. I just cut. That was so that's what I talked about on the
this is amazing fucking stories, bro. But I want to ask you this. The dude that punched you in the nose in your first match, did you ever cross paths with him again?
No, he was from Hawaii.
Wow.
He was legitimately from Hawaii. And Jerry and a couple of the older guys, a couple of the vets, they were booked in Hawaii. It was like a favor kind of thing. This guy was bringing a couple of them to Hawaii. So he asked Jerry, "Hey, will you bring me into the States?" You know, and so they were kind of doing that like tit for tat. So Jerry and a couple of the other guys, they got to go to Hawaii. And Jerry told me before the match, if you impress this guy, he might take you to Hawaii. You know, so that's what I was kind of hoping for. And after he beat my ass, I knew I wasn't going to Hawaii for sure. Yeah, Not yet. It would be, gosh, over probably 17 years later, 20 years later that I got to go to Noah. I think it was 2 I was like 5 or 34. So
What I love about the story in the beginning, you're saying how, if you give me the easy way, I'll take it. But then you flipped it around to where you told everybody else, hey, we could do this the hard way, or we could do this the easy way.
right, right. And one of the first things I started doing as a wrestler was I stopped calling the start of the match. People would go, okay, how are we gonna start? Blah blah blah, and I would, hey, we'll just wrestle. And what I would do is I would amateur wrestle them at the beginning. I would just kind of shoot without trying to hurt anybody. That wasn't the idea, but the idea was to show them that I really know my craft. I'm a real wrestler. I'm not just an entertainer, and I know how to do this for real, and it would always kind of just make people aware of the fact that if they did try to stiff me or something, they knew they were in there with somebody that was legit.
Did that help you in Japan? Like,
Oh,
that you are a fucking shooter and that don't fuck with me.
100%, 100%. Especially when we went to Noah. Noah had a lot of guys like there was a guy, Ikeda. Ikeda was mostly like a kickboxer, kick fighter kind of guy, threw a lot of kicks and shit. He wasn't really so much a pro wrestler. He knew pro wrestling, but he was mostly a shoot fighter. And they had a lot of guys like that. My first tour of Japan, they kicked me so fucking much because, again, you're not calling everything. You're just out there kind of doing your thing. And a lot of these Japanese guys, they don't know a lot of English and stuff. So they're throwing kicks like it's a shoot fight, and you kind of have to defend yourself a little bit. Now, they're not trying to knock you out, but they are throwing kicks at you, you know. And one of the things I became acutely aware of was that I really didn't have much defense kicks. And I had boxed, I learned how to box, and I knew my amateur wrestling very, very well. But I wasn't really experienced with kicks. So when I came back from that first tour, I hooked up with a guy who was really good with Aikido. And I learned some defense from kicks, some Aikido defensive tactics. And the next tour, when I went back and some of these guys would just start kicking at me, I'd use these defenses on them and they'd give me this look like, oh, wow, I didn't expect that. Like
Dean learned.
Yeah, he learned. He figured out, something where now, because basically the whole idea of Aikido is that you use people's momentum against them. You take their momentum and then you just let it flow right past you. You're taking that force and you're working it to your advantage now. And so one of them was basically like, it's hard to explain, but so as the guy's coming at you and he's putting the foot right to your face, he's coming to kick you in the face, you turn, you catch the foot on your shoulder. As he's coming in to kick you, you catch the foot, and now you bend over, and you take the guy right over your fucking head. Like, it's amazing. Nice. And it doesn't even take much strength at all because he's giving you all the momentum for it, and it ends up putting him flat on his face on the mat. And so I started using that in Noah, and very quickly I got a lot of respect in that company. Our first tour in, Donovan, it was our first tour in and our first match, our very first fucking match there. It was at Differ Ariake, and there was this guy named Sano. And Sano is, if you can just imagine Greg the Hammer Valentine as a high flyer.
Wow, holy shit.
Okay, that was what Sano was. He's 240, 245-pound dude that was stocky, thick as hell. And he did this move where you'd shoot him into the ropes, you'd shoot him into the corner, and he'd just run right up the corner and backflip over you. He did a lot of crazy shit like that. He'd tope out at you. He did this suicide tope where it was all head.
and he was an incredible guy and a pleasure to always wrestle, always very, very professional. And at the ending of the match, Donovan was supposed to hit him with a off the top rope leg drop at a point for a false finish. And Donovan landed on his face with Donovan's ass. And
Jesus,
fucked the guy all up. He had a cut on his forehead. Sano did, and it was, I don't know, it was probably like 4 inches long. It was a pretty substantial injury. And Donovan, after Donovan did it, he gave me this look like, oh my God. And I said, tag out, because I knew he was lost. He didn't know what the fuck to do because he hurt this guy. So he tags me in. I go in, I put Sano in a chin lock, and I said, Daijobu? And he said, hi, Daijobu desu, and so I knew he was okay. And I took care of him and got him into his corner, tagged out, and we went into the finish real fast and finished it up. And after the match, Donovan was afraid that for the rest of the tour, they would be potatoing us and be pissed, and especially Sano. He was concerned that the next time we wrestled Sano, that Sano would have a receipt coming for him, and that never happened. Sano, the next time we saw him, we apologized again, and Sano was like, "Oh, this Daijobu, I know it was an accident. You're gentlemen." He was like, "You're gentlemen, so I already know it's not. I would never be angry with you for an accident,
In Japan, Mark Coleman had some crazy like Yakuza stories. So did Boz Rutan when they got dabbled in professional wrestling, and they had a few situations there were some badass motherfuckers like those guys were a little bit scared. Did you ever run into anything like that when you're wrestling into Japan?
Oh yeah, quite a few times. So when you would get in the ring in certain towns, not always, but and the referee would come to check you, and he would tell you, Modesto-san, this side of the ring, Yakuza.
Oh fuck.
Or yeah, he would basically point out where Yakuza was sitting, right? And the reason for that is because Yakuza will not stand up and get out of the way. So if you and your opponent spill out into the crowd and you're shooting your opponent through some chairs or whatever, which in Noah, you had to get the okay to go out into the crowd and stuff anyways. You weren't allowed to just do that. In Noah, you were not allowed to just pick up a chair. It was legit, man. You could not go into business for yourself and do what you thought was cool, but they would still let you know, hey, Yakuza's on this side, just in case you go over the rail, or just if you are in that area, they want you to know those guys are not going to move. And if you hit one of them, you are going to owe them.
Wow.
You're going to owe an apology. And the apology is normally in the form of money. And Vader, when he was wrestling for All Japan, he slapped a kid. And I saw him slap somebody at Ariake Coliseum too. He slapped a 12-year-old kid that was asking him for an autograph, and he just kind of slapped the kid in the face. And when it happened, I was like, oh my God, that kid's gonna sue. But instead the kid was excited and happy that Vader slapped him. He was showing everybody, oh, Vader's son. Yeah, he's like, oh, look,
maybe Vader knew that, or was just being a dick.
No, he's being a dick. He's just kind of being a dick. And but he didn't hurt the kid. I don't want to make it sound like he was, like he hurt the kid, but the kid was asking for an autograph, and instead he just went slapped him in the face. But Vader got in trouble doing that same exact thing. He had gone out into the crowd, and he had, I guess, hit some Yakuza's kid that was in the crowd. And so they were fucking angry, and they went to Baba, and they just told Baba, look, man, we need to take your wrestler for a ride.
Oh my God.
And Baba had to pay a pretty high sum of money to keep Vader safe from that situation. So yeah, it's a real thing over there. There was a time that Takayama and Takayama is the one, I think it was Don Fry
Yeah.
He and Don Fry just punched each other in the face for
God.
like.
I always
Greatest
wondered
spot
about
of
that.
all time.
Do you think that could have been a work, even
That
though they
doesn't
beat the
work.
fuck out of each
It's not
other?
fucking.
It could have been. Yeah, it could have
I've
been.
always
Like,
wondered.
I could totally see two tough dudes like that going, "Hey man, so this is a shoot fight and stuff," rather than like fucking, really work hard tonight. How about we just punch each other in the face in the corner and we just stay there till it's
Whoever
done.
blows up first.
Right. Whoever wants to go down, that's the guy, Yeah, it could have been, it
And
very well
nobody
could have been.
loses a fight that exciting. Whether you win or whether it doesn't matter who fucking wins when it's like
I don't
that.
know. I still don't know who won that fucking fight, but I remember that.
I'm
fucking
assuming
spot.
Don Fry
I
won.
remember that.
Right.
Either.
Yeah. And so there was this one time Takayama and I, we went to a bar after the show and stuff. And I felt really privileged, first of all, to be
How fucking amazing. Jesus.
to be asked to go out with Takayama was a really huge honor. The guy is he's a legend. He's amazing and such a great human being. And he invited me out, so we went out for some dinner and some drinks, and then we left one bar and we were heading to another. And on the way, we're passing by this like club, and there's a Yakuza boss. You can tell he's the boss because he's not dressed the nicest. And there was a guy on his knees begging to him and apologizing to him profusely. This
What a
guy's like,
different world.
yeah, this guy's on his knees and he's talking to this guy and he's begging and begging and begging. And I don't know what he's saying, but I can tell it's very serious. And the Yakuza guy is just listening to him. And then he starts just kicking the shit out of this guy. And then he stops and a whole bunch of other guys start kicking the shit out of him. All the other, like his bodyguards and stuff. So this guy's just getting his ass kicked. And I'm looking over there, and Takayama says, "Modesto-san, not our business."
Yeah, good
And
bit of advice right there.
yeah. And I looked at Takayama-san, and I go, "Hi, wakaru." I was like, "Wakaru," like I understand. And I go, "Italiano," and he started laughing. He goes, "Oh, you Italiano?" I go, "Hi," and he goes, "Oh, so you understand mafia?" I go, yeah. And he goes, yeah, mafia. So not our business. I was like, I got you, man. I went out with Yakuza guys. Some of the sponsors in certain towns would be Yakuza. And there was this one night we were in Osaka, and this guy named KGB was the only thing we knew him as was KGB, Killer Green Bud. Weed was very, very hard to find in Japan. You could find hash, but weed was almost non-existent. And when you got it, it was crap. It was really bad. But KGB, he always had really good weed for us. When we'd show up to Osaka, he'd usually give us like a little care package or something, And this one night we show up and he's like, hey, it's a special night. I'm going to take you out with my boss. So KGB was in charge of one pachinko parlor. His boss owned all the pachinko parlors. And his boss is the son of a guy who is way high in the Yakuza. The son was like a smaller guy, but he owned so many pachinko parlors.
I don't want to be friends with him.
We go to this strip club, which, I was pretty excited about. I love strip clubs, always have. And we go to the strip club, and the guy, he's talking to me, the boss, he's talking to me, and he's not smiling. He's very scary looking. He's, I don't know, 23, 24, but I was very intimidated. I was 35 or something like that. But I just know that this guy could, easily have me executed if he would like, So
crazy.
I'm talking to this guy, and he says to me, he spoke a little English. He says to me, he says, you like Japanese sword? And I said, "Oh, I do. I'm a big fan of Japanese swords." I go, Kill Bill?" And he kind of shook his head. I go, "Yeah, I watch Kill Bill, and I'm a fan of Japanese sword fighting, but I know nothing. I only I only like, I don't know. And
Great
I
answer.
don't know. Yeah, I don't know Japanese swords. And so he shakes his head, and then he takes off his jacket and he starts rolling up his sleeve. He got a white dress shirt underneath, and he starts rolling up his sleeve. And of course, he's covered, head to toe in tattoos. And he rolls up his sleeve, and then he flexes his forearm. Now, this guy was probably 165 pounds, not a real big guy, but I could tell he was in very good shape, But when he flexed his forearm, I'm telling you, I've known lots of bodybuilders. I've been in this industry a long, long time, and I have never seen anybody with a forearm like this guy had. His muscles looked deformed. They were so developed. And he was explaining to me how it's the wrist. It's this movement with the wrist is how you take your opponent's sword away. When you're fighting the sword, this is the movement that takes your opponent's sword away from him. And so he was explaining that's why the forearm has to be so incredibly strong, because that's how you take it away, And so I was listening intently, and then he pulled his sleeve down and he looked at me and he said, "I like you."
Lucky for you.
Dude, that is a big compliment. For them to say anything to you, for a Yakuza boss to say anything to you at all, to acknowledge you, is huge. Okay.
When he said, "Do you like sword?" Did you get fucking scared a little bit? Like,
yeah. Oh,
get a sword out and cut your fucking head off.
100%. Well, then that's why I wanted him to know that, yeah, I like swords, but please don't think I know how to sword fight, because I don't want to sword fight.
You learned from, do you have any ideas for this match, kid? Oh, I have no ideas. You learned, like, he taught you a lesson. You carried it.
Yeah.
In,
like I said, as bad as that ass whooping was, and as much as I think he was a bully, it still taught me. It taught me how to be really humble, and so when he says, "I like you," he gets up and he calls for one of his guys to come over, and his guy brings over this briefcase. They open the briefcase, and there's $100 bills in the briefcase.
Wow.
And it's all American, which I thought was interesting. I would have assumed he would show up with a bunch of Japanese yen and put the yen on the table, but it was all $100 bills and it was all American. And he starts taking stacks of these hundreds out of the briefcase and he's putting them on the table. And they made us like this big VIP. So there was a lot of us sitting at these tables. There was like, I don't know, probably 6 wrestlers, and then probably 6 Yakuza underlings plus the boss and KGB. So there's probably, I don't know, 13 of us, 14 of us there. And the boss is putting the money on the table and he's talking sternly in Japanese. And I don't know what he's saying, but I can tell it's threatening, and it's got a very harsh tone to it. And all the girls are really listening intently, and everyone's quiet. So I was quiet as well. And then after he was done talking, this Australian girl that I had been talking to earlier, she came and sat next to me. And she says, "So, are you ready to do a VIP with me? You want to do a dance or something? You want to, go to the VIP room?" And I said, "Sweetheart, I really don't have money for that. I was a dad. I had 2 boys. I was married at the time. And so my money, I was always careful about how much I spent for entertainment, because it would make me feel guilty. Like, how can I qualify going and spending $500 on a dinner when I've got kids that need diapers and shoes, So I kind of told her I don't really have the money, to do anything like that. And she said, "Oh, you don't have to pay." She said, "Your boss just explained that all of this money is for us. The money that the money he put on the table is for all of the dancers." And I was like, "Oh, okay." And she said, "Yeah." I said, "Okay." And she goes, "However, he did say that if we take any money that we haven't earned, it would be bad." And
let's go make you some money, girl.
yeah, that's what I said. I said, okay, so let's earn some money then.
I'm gonna do this for you.
Yeah. So we go upstairs into this VIP. It was a dual level club. It had 2 levels. We go upstairs to this little VIP section, and she, she's doing a dance on me and this and that. And I did tell her, I said, I'm married, so like I don't want to do anything that would make me feel horrible, with my wife, because I didn't want her to like.
Was during Clinton's presidency though? Because Clinton,
right? Yeah, I didn't want
some things that
Monica Lewinsky. I didn't want the old Lewinsky. And so she said, we get up there and she's dancing, and she sits on me a couple times, and she was just fucking gorgeous. And then she says to me, she says, so I just want you to know you can do anything you want. And I said, what do you mean? And she goes, anything you want. She goes, your boss is a very important person. She goes, do you even know who your boss is? And I said, well, kind of. I said, I know he's important. And she goes, yeah, he's very important. And so you can do anything you want. It's your birthday, he said. And I was like, yeah, it is my birthday. And I was shocked that he told people that when he was yelling at everybody. One of the things he had said is, and it's his birthday, so anyone who works with him, it's carte blanche. You do what he wants to do,
I so should have obliged at that point, married or not.
Dude, I'm gonna tell you right now.
Nobody's listening. You could say,
looking back on it now, yes, being that my evil ex-wife left me anyways and broke my heart, and that she had cheated on me. Dude, do you know how bad I do feel bad for myself? I feel like, God, she cheated on me and broke my heart.
You're breaking my heart right now hearing this.
It's terrible. Yeah, I should have, man. And she even told me, she goes, there's another VIP we can go to that's completely private. And I thought about it for a second, but I said, I can't. I'm married, and I don't want to do anything that's going to make me feel shitty about myself, And honestly, my ex-wife, she probably wouldn't even like the fact that I got a lap dance in the first place, or that I was at a strip club. That wouldn't have been good news, but I probably could have gotten away without a divorce,
Yeah.
And so then when she was done with her dance and stuff, I said to her, I go, well, so you said that I could do anything I wanted? And she goes, yeah. And I go, okay, well, I want to go down on the pole. I want to jump on the pole and slide down the pole. And so she said, okay, you can do that. She goes, you're good to do anything you like. And so I jumped on the pole and I slid down. And what I didn't realize when I jumped onto the pole, I just had some company show up. So I'm doing an interview right now. So I jumped on the pole, and when I slid down, I realized that I had cowboy boots on. I always wore cowboy boots, so I was taller than everybody, or give me 2 inches.
You gotta wear
worker. You gotta wear cowboy boots, man. It gives you 2 inches. Like, you're an idiot if you don't.
I'm 5'8". I know what you're talking about.
So I jump on the pole, and I realize, oh fuck, my cowboy boots have no friction. Like, I'm falling now. So I'm sliding down this thing at 20 miles an hour, and a brief thought of me breaking both of my ankles, would be really embarrassing in front of all these strippers, And luckily I had the arm strength to slow myself down and not kill myself. And then when I slid down, a couple of the wrestlers and a couple of the girls were like hooting and hollering and throwing money at me like I was a dancer, and
what a great worker you are, man. You're working.
Yeah, it was kind of funny. And then one of the Yakuza guys talks to the girl that I was with, the Australian girl, and the Australian girl takes me back to the stage, and she says, come on, we're going to do something really special for you because it's your birthday. I was like, all right. So she has me lay down on the stage underneath the pole. So I'm laying down looking up the pole like this.
I wouldn't mind laying down there.
every girl in the club left their client, and they all formed a line going up the stairs to the pole. And every girl in the club went down the pole, and there was probably 50 girls. I'm just guessing.
Oh man,
probably 50 girls. Each girl went down the pole and would take $100 bill from my mouth. They took $100 bills from my mouth, and each girl, like the girl that was taking care of me, the Australian girl, she sat there next to me and was caressing me the whole time.
Good girl.
Oh, she was such a sweetheart. She's caressing me the whole time, and each girl that would take $100 bill, she would replace $100 bill in my mouth for the next girl.
Oh, what a great! I'm in love with her already,
dude. I wish we could have got married.
You could have. You wanted. You wanted that night. You could have married her.
Yeah. And this girl, I'm gonna finish up with this story talking about this girl too, because she was a really trippy stripper, man. She was really cool. So, each girl would take the bill from my mouth. Some of them kissed me and took it. Some of them took it with their lips, their pussy lips. Some girls took it with their ass. Like
Jesus.
Yeah, dude. It was really incredible how the girls
never
would
topped that.
take the $100 bills from me. And then there was this one girl, man. She was blonde and she was wearing all white, and she had like this cape, which I never really knew too many strippers with capes. You know, it's not really a stripper thing, but she did. She had a fucking white cape, and she gets on the pole, and then immediately she just falls backward with her legs still holding onto the pole. She falls backward so that she can see me, and the pole spins. This pole would spin, right? So she's spinning, coming down on me, and she spreads her cape, and it looked like angel's wings. And I remember watching her come down, and I thought, oh my fucking God, she's like an she's like an angel, and this is the best birthday I think I've ever had.
It can never be topped, ever. Best birthday that maybe anyone ever had.
It was amazing, dude. And again, not something I could have afforded. I couldn't have put $100 bill in my mouth for 4 girls in the club, let alone all 50, you know. And yeah, it was a blast.
One of these days.
And then the coolest thing about that chick, that stripper chick, is that when we were getting ready to leave, I asked her, I go, so what are you doing after work? You know, do you go anywhere after work? And she goes, yeah, there's a little bar I go to. And I was like, well, you know, could we hang out with you? And she was like, fuck yeah. She goes, you're really cool. She goes, I like you. She goes, yeah, let's hang out after. And I also asked her, I said, you know, do you know where I could get some weed, you know? And she was like, yeah, I have a friend, you know, at the bar that'll hook you up. And so she gave us one of our best weed hookups the whole time we were in Japan. He was an Israeli guy, and he really took good care of us. And we went to this bar with her afterwards, and we had a great time and hung out with her. And I ended up being friends with her for quite a few tours. Her name was Kendra. And the most interesting thing about her was why she was stripping. I asked her, I was like, so what brought you from Australia out here to Japan to strip? And she said, oh, I'm going to be a Buddhist monk.
What the
and
what?
Yeah.
Jeez.
She said, I'm going to be a Buddhist monk. And she said,
fuck out of me.
To live, right? Yeah, that was like a WCW. That was like a Vince Russo swerve.
Like, what the fuck?
So she said, apparently, to be in these monasteries, if you want to go be a Buddhist monk, you bring an amount of money, and when you bring that amount of money, for life, you no longer have to pay for food. You don't pay for housing. You don't pay for anything. You are now a monk, and you are there for fucking life, and they take care of you.
Wow.
And but you start by bringing an amount of money. I don't remember what it was, 30,000, 40,000, whatever it was. But that's why she was stripping. She was stripping to save money to become a Buddhist monk.
And you helped her.
The last time I talked to her was she was in Tibet.
Wow.
Yeah, she shaved her head.
Gee, this is the craziest, dude. You've blown my mind tonight. Like, I had no idea we were gonna get like. I'm fucking mind blown. It's crazy. What is fucking crazy? I had no idea we were gonna get a crazy story like that magnitude.
Yeah, it was wild, man.
God damn.
Only in
It was a
Japan.
great life. Yeah, only in Japan. Yeah,
You gotta love pro wrestling, brother.
you do, man. You really do. It's a wild life. You know, it's not like anything else that you do in the world. I remember sitting on the tour bus in Japan, and we'd be driving by like construction workers or people working, you know, on the road or just anywhere, and I'd think to myself, man, they have a regular job. They have to work their ass off. I'm just sitting in a truck I'm sitting in a bus drinking beer, going to the next town, you know, and then I get to go and beat up a guy for a second. He'll beat me up for a second, and then I get to have more beer and getting on a bus and go someplace else, you know, like it's a great life, man. It really
Best
is.
birthday ever. Hey, my God,
Yeah.
I thank you so much for those stories, man. Priceless, precious. One of these days, if we ever make it worth your while, we'd love to get you out in Lodi to do a seminar. Let's keep in touch. You know,
man.
what happened. But man, dude, thank you. I had no idea you were gonna give us this type of gold tonight.
Right on, brother. I appreciate it, guys. Thank you.
Thank you.
Are you
Thank you.
still out here in California, or?
Yeah, I live in a mountain town called Weaverville.
That's where I was conceived, actually.
Wow.
Yeah.
They're from Weaverville, and then they moved to Susanville. And
Where? Who did?
My parents. I was conceived in Weaverville.
That's where the mistake.
Oh, no way. Right on.
Yeah. And then we moved to Susanville because my dad's like, this falls to fucking town to fucking have a family.
Right.
And then we moved to Reno, and I was trained by Mustafa and Brian and with the Scum and all that. And then I'm
Okay.
here.
Right on.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. So, you know, it's Weaverville. It's a small little place, man, but it's really, it's a beautiful, beautiful little town. And
Parents love it. They
I
just
work-
go to Reading to be like closer to it so they can go there more often, to be honest.
Yeah. Yeah. I work at a bar called the Diggins here in town. It's the best bar in town.
That
There's
was
only
their
like
first date.
50 of them. Yeah.
That's crazy. Small fucking
Historical.
world. Small
Historical.
fucking
Yeah,
world.
no doubt.
Jesus, man, I have no stories. I'll never tell another story again after hearing
Can't
those
top
kind of
that.
stories, bro.
Can't
Like,
top that.
holy shit, man. Thank you,
Well,
man.
that's kind of how I feel like when I saw that you guys had fucking Tommy Rich on here. I was like, oh
Bro,
my God,
you came with some fire though, brother. You came with some fire.
His wife
right
was
on.
watching him the whole
Yeah,
time.
Tommy's wife was watching. God bless Tommy. It's a great interview, but you could tell he couldn't unload like that. You know what I'm saying?
You don't want to talk about Missy Hyatt. You didn't want to talk about Missy Hyatt. You don't want to talk about ECW's locker room. I brought it up. I was like, I'll check with Mustafa. He told me the ECW locker room was crazy. You got any stories? Like, oh yeah, it was crazy, brother. That's about all he would say. And I was like,
Yeah.
all right. Well,
No, great though. We love Tommy though. But oh my God, like I had no idea we would get something that good though. So thank you.
Right on.
I thought we talked about the history of wrestling. How dumb would that be compared to like strippers like putting their vagina on your face? Like,
Right.
APW. Let's talk
Cares
about
about that?
strippers in Japan.
It was amazing.
No, thank you, man. We'll keep in touch, and hopefully one day we get you out here for a seminar.
That'd be awesome.
I'd love it, man. Right on, guys.
I mean, have a good night, brother.
Thank you, Mike.
Peace and love. Thanks for having me on, guys.
Yeah,
Right
thank
on.
you. Amazing.
Without that guy for a shoot, there'd be none of you guys. There'd be
That's
no
true.
Vinny.
Yeah, no.
You know what I mean?
There wouldn't be much wrestling. A lot of wrestling out here goes back.
There'd be no APW.
that's
There'd
like,
be no SPW.
you
They're
know,
ugly.
that's
Ugly
like
was trained by Monty.
he's like the Caesar Gracie, the Health Gracie of professional wrestling.
The current NorCal scene is
Yeah.
that's the guy.
Well, shit, man. I think
Without
that
him, there's no ugly. There's no Mike. There's none of us. There's no Vinny. There's no fucking Donovan. There's no. He is the start of what NorCal wrestling is.
my mind is
today.
blown. You guys want to plug something real quick? Well, I think there's no way of topping that. So if you
Real
Mania,
April 15th, the Colonial Theater, Sacramento.
Come watch all
Historical.
three of us. I defend the world's heavyweight championship in a ladder match. Supposedly, I don't think he shows up because he has a broken fucking leg.
little tiny legs
Yep.
it is.
I'm taking on a guy. He's pretty tough. He's a legend. He's got a mohawk.
true.
But look, let's face it.
Very
The
beatable.
mullet man is going to squash the mohawk man, the Colonial Theater.
I believe in the mullet, and I think I'm some animal that some animal named Chubby. I'm gonna finally put this dog down. And some other guy named, I don't know who, I thought it was a good idea to put Tony Vargas as a special guest fucking referee. The last time we saw Vargas, he was the Beast of the East champion. I think that's a bullshit move. But Tony, we all know who the real shooter is. You better call this right down the line, brother.
He's gonna think it's a Canadian Football League game. He's gonna start calling, yellow flags and stuff.
All I know is that I retired.
Stick to flag football and action figures, Tony.
I retired that chump, and all of a sudden now he wants revenge. I think that's how it's going down. I think who signed this crap?
I don't know, but I'm pissed about it. I don't trust it at all. I think there's something stinks, man. I don't trust this. I don't like it.
So we have all 3 members of the 209 Kliq together finally because CJ stopped being a fucking jabroni and decided he wants to show up.
He's no longer Switzerland.
I'm still shopping for a Switzerland flag on Amazon to put behind me.
Man, I think that's
CJ.
Dude,
how do you feel about Ugwa?
Oh my God!
I have to refer to my lawyer.
Let's not bring
CJ.
You have to refer to my lawyer.
CJ, how do you feel about demigods?
You have to contact Stephen P. New.
CJ.
Stephen P. New will be taking my call.
CJ, we like all your thoughts on ring rats and Ugwa and what other shit do you bring up, Freeman?
Yeah. Dude, I don't know, man.
Donald Trump.
Listen, no, I don't want to talk about. We don't want to talk about Donald Trump anymore. That was a work. It wasn't real. We weren't Trump supporters. We never met Trump. We don't have any documents. We never were on Space Force. We never were on no invisible airplanes.
And why
we never made love to any Russian or Ukrainian hookers. We never got golden showers. None of that shit ever happened. Don't bring it up again. As a matter of fact, this interview is over. Let's cut. We're done. Cut this. Cut the camera. Cut it.